with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
I am back here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Matt Black Kia Studios. Phillies continue their series tonight in Toronto, minus a couple of players due to different protocols up in Canada. We are weeks away from the start of the training camp season for the Eagles and the rest of the NFL. Plus, the Flyers are basically idiots. So we'll get to that in just a bit as well. And of course, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 on the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Weinberg Wednesday, Dave will join us coming up in about 20 minutes from now to get more into a variety of things. Extra Point columns with Dave Weinberg over at 973ESPN.com. I want to start with the Phillies before we get to the Flyers stuff, because the Flyers thing, I got a lot to get to on the Flyers thing. I got a lot to get off my chest on that front. But the Phillies are in a very interesting situation because they only have a few more games left before the All-Star break. And last night was a game that in many ways felt like you could have and you should have won. And I think that the conversation right now really needs to move to what is the reason why, if this team doesn't make the playoffs, what is the reason why? And I think that that is where at least my mind personally is at. I think the simplest way to get around this is to ask the question, because I see the comments all the time. You know, I was talking to people on Twitter about this with the pitching staff. Okay. Is it the pitching staff? Are we looking at the pitching staff and saying that's the reason why? Okay. If the Phillies don't make the playoffs, what is the reason why? And whatever the reason is why is what you have to do at the trade deadline. The Phillies are in a very interesting predicament. The predicament is this. If they want to make the playoffs for the first time since a decade ago, if you want to make the postseason, you want to break that drought, you got to show the city and the fans that you are serious about winning. And what is the move that is a clear sign that you are trying to make the postseason? The answer to that question is what the Sixers' priority needs to be at the MLB trade deadline, because the Phillies are in a city right now where they have an opportunity to keep the fans' interest, because the Flyers just showed everybody today that they don't care about you, the fan. The Flyers as an organization basically just gave the entire orange and black fan base, the casual fan, the diehard fan, the intermediate fan, whatever tier of fan that you are of the Flyers, they basically told you to bug off. So the Phillies have a great and golden opportunity to absorb that passion fan base by making the playoffs and having a great run for the second half of the year. We are days away from the All-Star break. You got one more game in Toronto, and then you finish out the series with the Marlins to get you to the All-Star break. The Phillies are in a very interesting situation because, for example, if they say, look, our biggest need right now is we need more bats. Let's go fill that center field void. Well, the number one target for you to fill that void is Andrew Benintendi. And Andrew Benintendi is playing extremely well right now. And there's a lot of speculation out there that he has elevated his trade value. So it's probably going to take more to get Benintendi as we get close to the deadline than it was maybe a week or two ago. So that's going to be a decision. How far are you willing to go to improve the team right now? And from what I understand, Dave Dombrowski is not interested in sacrificing the entire farm system for a trade deadline deal. So if he's not willing to do that, do you have to go hunting in the discount bin? The section of the store for those of us who still go to stores. I know there's a contingent of people who all they do is shop online and they don't actually go to stores anymore. But when you went to the store, you'd be walking around and you see some of the prices on these shirts and these jeans and these sneakers. And you're like, I'm not comfortable with some of those prices. So I'm going to go check out what's available on the discount rack, right? Is that what the Phillies have to do? Do the Phillies have to lower the expectation and say, we can't get a Benintendi, but we can get somebody else? I mentioned this on Twitter today when it came to the pitching. Martin Perez of the Rangers and Frankie Montas of the A's are going to get overpaid for in a trade. Someone is going to give up a stupid amount of prospects and assets to get those guys. So the Phillies have to realize they're going to have to maybe wait out the market a little bit to see who's left over. Who is just in a position to just trade somebody? Or are the Phillies as well going to have to overpay for somebody? And I don't think Dave Dombrowski wants to overpay for somebody. So for me, I look at the Phillies as in a very unique situation. Whether it's pitching, whether it's an outfielder, whether it's another infielder, whatever it is, you are going to have to make a decision whether you are trying to go all in to win this year or you shop from the discount bin. And if you're shopping for the discount bin, then guess what? You are in a scenario where you got to decide, hey, if we want to make the playoffs for the first time in a decade, here's how much we have to give up to do that. Because watching the game last night in Toronto, one of my biggest takeaways about the Phillies was, you know what? This team is there. Because it's not like they couldn't have beaten the Blue Jays last night. They just didn't have a good night hitting. And their pitching was okay. I mean, you got to give the team credit. For a team that went out there and basically pitched everyone except for a starting pitcher last night, it wasn't bad. Mark Appel went 3 innings, gave up 1 run. Familia only gave up 1 run too last night. Knebel, Alvarado, and Kelly combined to go 2 2/3 innings and gave up 0 runs. They had no earned runs allowed in their time out there. All the earned runs last night in that 4-3 loss were Bilotti, the opener, first inning, that was it. Mark Appel, 1 run in 3 innings, and Familia, 1 run earned and 1 1/3. Knebel came in, did a great job of shutting things down and getting out of that inning. And Alvarado did his job when he came in. The Phillies hitters just didn't have enough juice last night. Now, part of that was because, let's be realistic, Berrios pitched incredible. For a guy with a really bad ERA, he found his juice last night. 13 strikeouts is incredible. And then you got nothing off of the bullpen. And then Romano came in and he shut you down. Berrios gave up 3 runs and he had 13 strikeouts. Talk about Jekyll and Hyde performance. So it's not like the Phillies are a bad team. That 46-42 record says more about how the team has rebounded since the firing of Joe Girardi than it says about the state of the team long term. Because the Blue Jays just fired their manager today, Chris Montoya. And they have the same record as you. So if you're a Phillies fan, you have hope. It's just a question of if this team prioritizes what they need to at the deadline, they can be in October. Question is, what is the priority? We got to wait and find out. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. You can join the conversation on the text board at 609-403-0973 or DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. All right. I got to get to the Flyers because today was a big day for hockey. Today was the day that everyone could talk. Today was the day of, and I'm seeing all day long, deal after deal signed, trades, free agency, everything left and right. And you came into a day like today thinking the Flyers, this is their time. They have more cap space than Boston, more cap space than Vegas. Johnny Gaudreau wants to be here. You released Oscar Lindblom. Kind of feels it's a little, I wasn't a fan of that, but you had to do it to open up the cap space, right? And if you just trade JVR, you have the cap space. And what did the Flyers do? Chuck Fletcher comes out after 5 o'clock today and tells the media that they're done in free agency. Now, Johnny Gaudreau is not officially signed anywhere yet. But they literally docked themselves out of the Johnny Gaudreau sweepstakes immediately. This is embarrassing. Chuck Fletcher has more than egg on his face. Chuck Fletcher is covered in horse manure right now. And he's trying to tell you he doesn't stink. You know the story of the emperor has no clothes? They're trying to tell you the emperor is wearing a great outfit, but then somebody screams, he's naked. Chuck Fletcher is that. He is now trying to sell the entire fan base and sports media of just horse manure. It is utterly ridiculous that this guy had the audacity to get up and say unequivocally, we're done with free agency. Our offseason's done. It's July 13th. Today is the first day of free agency, and you just kicked the can down the road and said, it's not important. We're out. We can't get Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, talk about a loser. Talk about an individual who has no initiative to do whatever it takes to win. If Howie Roseman would have done today what Chuck Fletcher did, every single one of you listening to Sound My Voice will be texting the text board and DMing the app, screaming for him to be fired. Daryl Morey does it, you're screaming for him to be fired. Dave Dombrowski does it, you scream for him to be fired. But the apathy when it comes to the Flyers has become so great that nobody is blowing up, losing their minds over this. This organization have utterly and unequivocally not just dropped the ball, but told the fan base to go to HE double hockey sticks. They've literally told the fan base, we don't care about you. We don't care about anybody because we're going to stay in our lane. This organization lost fans last year. And instead of bringing them back to the building, they told them, we don't care if you come back. This is an embarrassment and an outrage. And the fact that people are not screaming at the rooftops more about it tells you that the organization has already lost the fan base. If Ed Snyder was still alive, I guarantee you Johnny Gaudreau is in an orange and black jersey right now. But because he is not in charge anymore, and it's a faceless, nameless corporate entity owning the organization that handed the keys to the kingdom over to Chuck Fletcher, they have literally disowned the fan base. And they have left the Eagles and the Sixers and the Phillies to absorb all the attention, all the accolades, all the headlines. What an utter joke. And I want to hear about the draft. The NHL draft is inexact science. That's like playing roulette in Atlantic City. There's no guarantee that any of those players that they drafted are going to work out. This was a guaranteed thing. You get a great player, you bring the fans back. You are competitive. You don't bring him in, you basically are trying to lie to us. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Each and every Wednesday, we talk with 97.3 ESPN.com sports columnist Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday next.
This summer,
0-2 on the way. Swinging a high fly. This is blasted out to deep right center field. Forget about it. Bryce Harper.
we plan on giving South Jersey something cool, because it's going to be a hot one.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Elevated the heater at 96 to get out of the inning. Heck of a job by Zach Wheeler.
Your official station for Summer at the Shore. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We're Town Square Media, and along with the awesome radio station you're listening to right now, we're publishers of best-in-class national entertainment brands like Taste of Country, Pop Crush, and more. And when combined with our local brands, we can reach over 70% of consumers in our community. At Town Square, all this digital clout puts us in a unique position to help local businesses grow with powerful marketing solutions. In addition to local radio, we're experts at web design and SEO, plus targetable advertising solutions like streaming TV, addressable geofencing, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, Spotify, search engine marketing, and so much more. That may sound like a lot of buzzwords, but really all that matters is we can deliver a relevant and ideal target audience to your business with data-informed decisions. No guessing, no waste, and you gain a trusted marketing partner with Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
New message.
What up, what up? It's Heather's cousin. You dated her in college, or maybe you were just in the same class. Anyway, I heard you bought a boat, my man. Let's hit the water. Oh, and Heather told me you always liked snacks and stuff, so I could totally bring some chips.
When you get a boat, you also get new friends. Make sure Progressive's one of them, and get coverage today for as little as $100 a year.
Hey, also, I'm a little short on cash, so can you cover the chips? Thanks. I can see why Heather liked you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? Quality oil like Valvoline Full Synthetic can help you get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $36.99. Got an older vehicle? Try Valvoline Full Synthetic high mileage options. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, I'm Jackie, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is the chicken. It is golden brown, so juicy, so delicious. It's the perfect savory start to my day.
Hey, I'm Matt, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is the freshly baked, flaky, buttery biscuit. When I take a bite, it's kind of like, crispy, soft, crispy. Crispy outside, soft interior, crispy chicken. There's really nothing like it.
Start your day with the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit, available on the Chick-fil-A app. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
With JMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. and we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll check out the text board in just a bit. I'm already seeing some suggestions about players the Phillies could or should trade for. So we'll get to those comments a little bit later in the show. We're at 609-403-0973. DMs to the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. But as always on a Wednesday, we talk with Dave Weinberg for another edition of Weinberg Wednesday. Extra point columns over at 973ESPN.com. And he joins us now with what looks like live from the beach, Dave. How you doing?
That is correct, Josh. I'm in Diamond Beach, right down there from Wildwood Crest. Had a friend's surprise birthday party, but I had to take some time out to talk to you guys.
Well, I
Never
appreciate you. I appreciate you. Listen, the one person I can rely on is you, Dave. I can't speak for a lot of people, but I can rely on you, so I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks. I do my best.
I want to start with the baseball with you because aside from the fact that I know how much you love baseball, one of the things I've been asked about, I wasn't here for the last couple of days in the studio. I got had to take care of some stuff, on the side. And, one of the things I keep running into what people say, and I see them commenting is the Phillies, I want them to make the playoffs. And my question out there, David, I'll pose it to you is, if there was one thing you could put your finger on, this team has to add to ensure that they make the postseason for the first time in a decade, what is it?
Oh boy, Bryce Harper. If he comes back, I think it's a big bonus for them. I'm really not sure what they could do to make themselves that much better. I mean, Noble's been the closer's been doing his job, relatively speaking. Their starting rotation, at least 2/5 of it or 3/5 of it is pretty reliable. Their lineup is capable of producing some runs. Maybe they should add a little more offense. A reliable center fielder, I think, would go a long way. But people want them to make a big move, but I don't know what kind of move they can make, short of training for Trout and Ohtani. Maybe, I don't know. But other than that, I don't. I think they're in pretty good shape. They just have to stay healthy, and I think they'll be okay. I mean, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they have a decent shot at it if they can just, stay, like I said, stay healthy and stick with what's working so far.
Well, I don't want to sound like one of those people, but to me, you spend all that money on Schwarber and Castellanos and Knebel and all these guys, you should make the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
I agree.
At some point, it's like, look, last year you had the worst bullpen in baseball. You had, 38 blown saves. Let's round it up to 39, right? If you win a third of those games, just 13 more games, you're in the playoffs last year. So it's not like this team, there's this huge gap between them and, let's say, the Padres or the Giants or the Cardinals. They're right there with them. So to me, Dave, if they don't make the playoffs, that's more of a disappointment than anything.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've put themselves in position to despite everything that's happened, like Harper getting hurt and what have you, that they're still right there in the thick of it. I mean, they've been struggling lately, but they've lost 3 straight. But baseball's a kind of an ebb and flow game. You're not gonna have really long winning streaks, losing streaks. They kind of all evens out in the end. And I think if they can just weather the storm here, come out of hopefully get 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, and then go into the All-Star break and hit the ground running again, I think they'll be okay. I mean, they're, like you said, all you ask for is for them to have a chance, and they will. I think they will. I mean, barring a disastrous collapse, which I don't foresee happening. So, their starting pitching is too good for that, I think. So I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be right in the mix.
One of my questions also with this team is, we saw in a game like last night how it's like, this the dreaded bullpen game, right? But they only gave up 4 runs. It's not like the pitching staff got totally destroyed last night.
True.
It's just
Yeah,
you know, the hitters just didn't score more than 3 runs. And
right.
you know, I could argue that, you know, maybe as you said earlier, Dave, if they found a real center fielder, maybe they win the game last night.
That's true. I mean, I'm sorry to be like the old man yells at cloud kind of guy and get off my lawn, but this bullpen game stuff is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. I don't understand it. You never saw this in the 60s and the 70s, and even like 5 years ago, I never saw this. I don't understand why you can't just bring up another starter, or like you have 5 starters, right? So why can't that? I mean, I understand the vaccination status and all that stuff took one out, but bring up another guy from AAA and have him start. I mean, that's what he is. He's a starter. And just give him his chance. I don't understand this. 2 innings here, 2 innings there, 2 innings here. It makes no sense to me at all. I just don't get it.
Well, this is my answer, because someone asked me the same question on Twitter, Dave, and my answer is this. I don't think there's enough talent. I don't think there's enough pitching talent out there, because other teams do this too. The Rays did it for almost an entire year. They had 2 or 3 opener pitchers a couple of years ago. Like, to me, I think the problem is that the pitching talent out there is not what it used to be. I just don't think there's enough good arms to go around.
Yeah, that could be, I guess. Maybe you're grooming too many relievers and not enough starters. Like, you don't have guys that can give you 7 innings, 8 innings, but you should. I mean, it worked for decades that you could do it. Why all of a sudden now you can't? People just, like, again, I hate this going as rant here, but people they're every pitcher's like babied. You know, getting a complete game is like a big deal now. I mean, Bob Gibson threw like 30 in 1 year, for crying out loud. I mean, it was nothing for them to go out to throw 9. I don't understand why all of a sudden now you only get a quality start as 5. I guess it was at 5 innings. I don't know, maybe even 2. I'm not even sure anymore. It's just
here's
it's just stupid to me.
So they had the stat called they had the stat called a quality start, quote unquote.
Right.
And
which is what?
A quality start is a minimum of 6 innings and allowing 3 runs or less. That's what they call a quality start.
And what do you get for that? Like, I mean, so what?
Well, you get it's a stat. That's all it is. But
okay, all right. Yeah.
But the problem is, Dave, they can't even give you that. You have all these guys, and you know, I know Mike Gill has brought this up about how all they're teaching kids now is like velo and throw as hard as you can, and you know, all that stuff. You know,
those throwers are not pitchers. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think part of the other problem is that every time, like, why is it every time you go to a non-pitcher in a game, they never go to an actual pitcher? Like, Mike Trout pitched in high school. Adam Hazley pitched in college. Like, you have guys who actually pitched at the lower levels. I'm not saying they're great, but if you're down 15-1, what are you doing? You're bringing in lob arm. That's part of the problem, Dave. I think baseball and their evaluation system and their development has a huge hole in it.
Yeah, you're probably right there. There's definitely not enough emphasis, I guess. Why? I mean, pitching is such an important part of the game. You would think they would devote enough time and effort and resources into developing guys. But you know, I don't know that. I don't know the reason for it. I don't understand the pitch count thing. I mean, I get it in high school. Or you know, AAU or what have you, in college even, but I mean, there's no reason a pitcher can't throw 120 pitches in a game. I mean, why do you have to pull them after 67? I mean, it's so stupid to me.
I mean, I remember, and then listen, my experience is not everybody's, but I remember when I was in high school, the joke was, well, if you're left-handed or a side armor, you got a future in pitching in college. If you don't do that, then you're a nobody. Because the joke is that, you know, it's like, you know, oh, who has a career? It's guys who are, you know, punters and kickers and left-handed pitchers and side armors. Like, and
me
it's
being
like,
one of them.
right. So like the point is that, like, you know, that used to be the mentality. It was like, all right, if you got a kid who throws left-handed, get him on the field. And now it's like it's travel ball and my kid doesn't my kid only can play one sport. He can't play all 3. And I think that's part of the problem. I think part of the problem is we're seeing a sport in baseball that has been impacted by a lack of development before the guys get here. Because you look at what the Phillies do. The Phillies have sent another guy down the minors, called another guy up today for 1 game in Canada, and then they go to Florida, and they got a whole nother roster they're running out there Friday through Sunday. Like, the whole thing's a mess.
Yeah, it's I don't know what the solution is. It just seemed like it was such a simple, not a simple game, but a better game back. I hate to date myself. I mean, I'm 64, but I was fortunate enough to pitch a couple years for Lower Cape May and in the ACBL as a left-hander. I couldn't tell you how many pitches I threw in a game. I just threw. I mean, I
Right.
pitched. 7 innings and I was done. I mean, or if it was 8, I went 8. I don't understand the overemphasis on protecting guys. I mean, sooner or later, just let them cut loose. They're not that fragile, really. I mean, you see, I don't get like the Tommy John surgeries at 15 years old, but they don't even really need them. They just do it, and they supposedly gain velocity by having that procedure done, which is ludicrous to me. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't know how baseball got to where it is now. It's not even a fun game to watch anymore a lot of times.
Well, and that's the other side of it. Weinberg Wednesday with Dave Weinberg, extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com, at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. There is something to be said for the fact that at the end of the day, Dave, baseball doesn't need to bring you or me in. They need to bring the casual fan in. And And if they're losing people like you and me who are getting, like, for me, you know what I do sometimes on a day off? I put on a baseball game, I take a nap. Like that's the level of the sport today. And I'll admit that. I don't care what people think about me saying that, because at the end of the day, baseball used to be a game about, pitching and hitting and stars. And it's like, hey, just come watch our team play because we're the Phillies. And that's not good enough, Dave.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, I'm still a huge baseball fan. I will, I'll turn on the MLB network or TBS or ESPN, whatever has a game on. If the Phillies, I'll watch the Phillies first off. But if not, then I'll watch something else. Just because I enjoy the game so much. But they've lost like a generation of fans, just like the kids that, even my son played in high school, and I don't know if he watches that much baseball. And I know my grandkids don't. I mean, they know the Philly fanatic. That's about it.
Right.
And it's a shame. They're losing. Once you lose that generation, you can't get it back, and it's really tough to do. I'm hoping that they'll just find a way to make baseball fun again, an exciting game. I mean, it's kind of a slower paced sport by nature, but you can, if you're a baseball fan, you can find the enjoyment in it, and it's really tough to find it right now.
Yeah, the other side of it is, and this is not anybody's fault specifically, but the best player in baseball is on a team that most people have no idea exists. Like, I'm sorry, but like Mike Trout is on a team in an organization that has done a horrible job at building around him in a sport that does a poor job of promoting its stars. Like, if Mike Trout was a New York Yankee, he'd be the biggest thing on planet Earth. But because he's on the Angels, half the world is Mike Trout can walk down the street of LA and nobody knows who he is, probably.
They probably do, but yeah, I get your point. But how do you remedy that? Do you automatically trade him to a big market team, or
no?
I mean,
no.
he doesn't want to leave. So why? I don't know. I understand your point that, it is a shame that the Angels are such a dumpster fire. You would think they'd be able, with Ohtani and Trout together, you would think they would be, on fire right now. They would be the number one, team on the planet. You have the Asian population that follows Ohtani's every move, and then you have, like you said, Trout, the best player in the universe. So, I don't know I don't know if you're supposed to break up the Angels though, or just like hope that they just kind of figure it out. And but it is a dilemma. You're right.
Well, my answer to that is that I know there are people who disagree with me about this because I've had a lot of arguments. I think baseball has done a horrible job at marketing its game.
Yeah, they do.
Me, I remember when I was younger, you would watch a game on TV or you would drive around, there'd be a billboard, right? The billboards and the commercials were always about the players. Now the commercials, like you said, the fanatic, the game experience, they don't even promote the players half the time. Like,
yeah, that's true. You're right.
To me, I think the problem is that I remember when the All-Star game was about stars. Now the All-Star game is about, oh man, we got to get Luis Castillo to be the only Red in the game. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the All-Star game used to be a special thing that you really looked forward to. And yeah, now it's just a bunch of gimmicks. And like you said, you was like, you have to have one player from every team. Maybe they've always done that. I don't know.
Well, they've always done the one player, right? But like, for example, like when Tony Gwynn made the All-Star game, they made a huge deal about him. He wasn't a home run hitter. He's just one of the greatest slap hitters of all time.
Correct.
But Gwynn was a star. And I mean, that dude played on the Padres. Like every kid growing up knew who Tony Gwynn was.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Sure.
He didn't hit home runs. He wasn't some big time power hitter,
Right.
but people knew who he was, and he played for those stinking Padres.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Everybody knew who he was, and everybody knew who like Rod Carew was, and Lou Brock, and all those guys. It's just I don't know why they don't market it better. I don't know what the solution is, but yeah, the sport just can't seem to get out of its own way. Sometimes I don't know. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it is very frustrating. On a more positive note, because I got to ask you about a little golf before I let you go. The Open is this weekend.
Yes.
Did you see the comments from Tiger blasting Live Golf? Like he literally,
Yeah.
He didn't just criticize them. He literally just bombed them just to hell, basically. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was. And I think everybody was kind of waiting to see what Tiger was going to say because, he is the face of golf. And for him to come out so heavily against Greg Norman and Live Golf, that pretty much kind of puts the nail in their coffin, I think, in a matter of speaking. I mean, they'll probably still have a couple more guys jump over. And I think the thing's a big circus myself. Shotgun starts and 54 holes. You get paid whether you shoot 80 or 65. It's just I don't know. I'm not going to waste my time on it, but I guess some people will. But yeah, for Tiger to really, he really put them in their place. It was kind of good to see.
Do you think Tiger actually was able to make it through the full weekend here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think taking the U.S. Open off did him a world of good. I don't expect him to win or even to make the top 10. I think he'll make the cut. Apparently, he spent a lot of time over there.
It's like 2 weeks apparently.
Yeah, he's been playing like almost every day. He seems like he feels pretty good mentally and physically. So, yeah, I think he's got. I think he'll be around for the weekend. At least I hope so.
I just want to see him out there. I don't expect he'll win.
Right.
I mean, if you ask me who I think's going to win, I mean, if I had to pick one guy, I'm guessing Rory. I mean, it's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not. You wouldn't be far off there. I don't think. I mean, I actually picked I picked a couple guys like I always do.
Right.
A couple favorites. I think I picked Jordan Spieth was one. Rory was one. Then I picked a couple long shots. Guys who I think there's one guy that I forget. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he plays on the European tour a lot, and he's there's another guy that's been in the top 10 of the last 2 British Opens. So, yeah, I took a couple chances, but you're right. It's more times than not. It's usually like the guys like the Steve Schefflers, the Justin Thomases, Rory of the world that usually wind up at the top at the end. You're probably not far off there.
Last time I think Rory was plus 1,100 to win. So, that's a nice set of odds there. If he does win. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, hopefully, if the guy wins, you can't remember his name.
I have it in front of me. Let me see.
I don't want to see you miss out on a win again. That's all.
Ryan Fox is his
Ryan
name.
Fox. Okay.
He's the guy who plays in Europe, and if I put $20 on him, if he wins, I get like 2,700. So I'm rooting for him.
Well, listen, if he does win and you do win, then I will understand if you don't come on the show next week because you might have ran away from the country at that point. So.
Oh, no. I'll still join in. Even no matter where I am, I'll make time for you, Josh.
He's Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19. Extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. He's rooting for Ryan Fox to win
and
the
Billy
Open.
Horschel too.
And who else?
Billy Horschel will pay me like $2,500. I'll go for them too.
Is it bad that when you say Billy Horschel, I think he's a character from The Waterboy?
Bobby Boucher, huh?
Yeah, Bobby Boucher and Billy Horschel. They play together, right? Is that what
There
it
you
is?
go. Yeah, they're in the same. They're in the same group.
Someone out there is probably saying Josh has been watching too many movies lately, but I
There you go. That's all right.
Dave, I appreciate you jumping on. Go back to enjoying the beautiful weather. Take care, my friend.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank in Seattle City. I mean, I've been kind of on a cruise here. I've been watching movies in the theaters. I've been watching movies at home. I just, I don't know. I guess I'm on a streak here. I have not watched Waterboy in a while, but for some reason, the name Billy Horschel sounds like a guy who plays for like Louisiana Tech. Like Billy Horschel sounds like the second string running back for Louisiana Tech or something. I don't know why. Maybe my mind is just all over the place right now. We'll get back to your guys' thoughts and comments on the other side. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. DMs in through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. I'm already getting trade ideas over on the text board. So if you want to throw yours in as well, join the conversation. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN.
The best way to wake up is with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Come on, giddy up, get a move on.
Where are we going, Tex? Tombstone, Abilene, Dodge City?
Nope, we're headed east. We got to get going. We still got a long ride in front of us, and I ain't gonna miss Chicken Palooza for nothing.
It's Royal Farms Chicken Palooza with great chicken box, sandwich deals, and more all summer long. Get a 2-piece world-famous box, white or dark meat, for just $6. And 10 cents of each sale will be donated to local charities. You can also get a classic, spicy, or deluxe world-famous chicken sandwich. Plus, you can register for a chance to win world-famous chicken for a year. Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. Nobody wants to miss it.
Come on, you horsies. We're almost there.
Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Sweepstakes ends August 31st, 2022. Chicken for a year prize to be awarded as 8 $100 Royal Farms gift cards. For details and official rules, visit royalfarms.com/chicken-palooza-sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Sponsored by Royal Farms.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? Quality oil like Valvoline Full Synthetic can help you get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $36.99. Got an older vehicle? Try Valvoline Full Synthetic high mileage options. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Married to Your Home.
I'm disgusting.
Oh, House, don't say that.
You could live someplace so much better than me.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah? Look at these uneven stairs. Gross.
House, you know I don't care.
And the squeaky door hinge.
I think it's cute.
No matter how much you already love your house, you'll love it more knowing you could save big bundling your home and auto with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Hi, Tom Bodette here. Just back from the Bodette family reunion, and honestly, I'm a little baffled by my nephew. Last reunion, he was still bouncing on my knee. Now he's hitting his head on ceiling fans. Good thing they stayed at Motel 6, where there's comfy beds with plenty of room to stretch out on. And great low rates, because, teenagers eating a week's worth of groceries for lunch. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on. For you.
O'Reilly. Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
They say to never mess with the classics, but Panera did just that and more with our new Chef's Chicken Sandwiches. By using pan-seared chicken, our secret garlic aioli recipe, Parmesan crisps, and pickle chips, all on a buttery brioche roll. Because if no one messed with the classics, you never have a chicken sandwich this good. New Chef's Chicken Sandwiches from Panera. Only $1 delivery fee when you order on our app. Restrictions apply. For details, visit PaneraBread.com/delivery info.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
So in life, throws you uh-ohs. Just say, better get Mako.
And visit the paint and auto body experts at Mako today.
With GMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by the AC Airport. Plan your next vacation right now with Spirit Airlines. They're offering nonstop flights from Atlantic City International Airport to Boston, Atlanta, San Juan, Miami, and other exciting destinations. Visit Spirit.com to book your next trip today. Check in on your guys' thoughts and comments. Text board is open. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Also, you could DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank, Seattle City. I am back for the rest of the month. No more extra days off for me, at least for the rest of the month. So thanks to everybody chiming in today and checking in on the show. Appreciate everybody who listens and texts and DMs and everything. Glad to have you guys on board the show here on 97.3 ESPN. A couple messages coming in. A little earlier, Texture says, in my humble opinion, Michael Kelly would be a nice fit for the Phillies. Sincerely, your favorite Vikings fan. A couple things. First of all, I appreciate you chiming in. I know exactly who that is texting in. Merrill Kelly. I said Michael Kelly. Yeah, I actually did text Merrill Kelly. That's a bad job by me. Michael Kelly just got sent back down to the minors for the Phillies. Merrill Kelly. That's an interesting name for a couple reasons. One, because Kelly is an innings eater. He's a guy who he's got 104 innings this year. So he's not a guy who has not pitched this year. The problem with Kelly is twofold. Number one, what you're doing is you're hoping that he is this year's version of Kyle Gibson, okay? You know, you're hoping that he is a guy who is a veteran pitcher who is able to go out there and stay consistent for the rest of the year. The problem with Kelly is that his history is not ideal, okay? He's a guy who this is his third full year as a starter in Major League Baseball, right? And he's somebody who hasn't been great, okay? Last year, he had almost a 4.5 ERA. During the pandemic year, he had basically an under 3 ERA, but he only started 5 games. So it's hard to judge him off of that. And the year before that, he got a 4.42 ERA. So this is a guy who's having arguably his best year ever this year. And he has 84 strikeouts and 104 in the third innings. I hate that ratio. I'm a big believer in I want you to have around a strikeout per inning for you to be an effective pitcher. So how much of his pitching is luck? How much of his pitching is, I don't know. It's, his batting average against, it's okay. He's got a 233 batting average against. So it's not like he's horrible. I don't know. I'm okay with Merrill Kelly if you're not giving up a lot to get him. If you're giving up, I don't even know who you would give up. I mean, the Phillies minor league system is so thin. It's hard to know who you would even trade. I mean, are you talking about trading Rafael Marchand for, is that the kind of player we're talking about trading? Then okay, I'm okay with that. But I just don't want to see the Phillies overpay for someone like a Merrill Kelly because they get desperate for pitching. Because, I want to see Andrew Benintendi on this team. The problem is I don't know if Andrew Benintendi is going to be within reach for the Phillies. I don't know if he's a guy that they could actually, if they have the willingness to trade that level of assets, or they have the assets that even the Royals want. That's the other side of this conversation. And before I get to the Dan and EHT in just a moment, his text is 609-403-0973. I do want to hit on that point. I know a lot of people have a perception of sports. And I know that at times I come off as, the bringer of bad news, right? I know at times that there's a perception that, I'm ruining everybody's fun. But I'm a realist, okay? And I'm sorry to disappoint you because I know people have been mad at me when I say things like this. But sports is not as simple as, I don't know why they didn't acquire him. I have seen somebody message our station multiple times. Things like, and these are different people. I don't know why the Phillies just didn't get Matt Chapman, or I think the Phillies need to get Raul Iglesias from the Angels. And they say these things. And my immediate question back to them is, under what basis do you think that team thinks the Phillies have what do the Phillies have that team is going to say, we should have made that trade with the Phillies. Oh man, we're missing out on that prospect. Who in these organizations is looking at the Phillies minor league system and saying, man, let me tell you, I really want that guy. I've always wanted that guy. The Phillies don't have an elite number of young players and prospects that a team out there is interested in. You have to remember, a trade is a two-way street. It's not as simple as, they should have made that trade. Well, what if the other team doesn't want to trade with you? What if that team doesn't want the prospects that you have to offer? What if that team has no interest in your players? It's not as simple as making a trade. So, I just want to remind everybody that, while talking about trade scenarios is fun, Merrill Kelly makes a lot more sense than Iglesias from the Angels. It's just, if we want to live in reality, let's live in reality. If we want to live in fantasy, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not here to enable people living not in the real world, in a bubble. Dan EHC said, I think sports are better than ever today. Social media is great. Players moving from team to team is great. TV coverage is better than ever. No doubt I would take this era of sports over the 80s when I was growing up. Well, Dan EHC, I think that you overlooked the fact that what we were saying wasn't that sports today weren't great, me and Dave Weinberg. What we were talking about was that the quality of the game today is not as good. Yes, TV coverage is better. The environment is better than ever. But there's no way you can say that baseball is today better than it was, let's say, in the 90s, okay? The talent was better in the 90s. The players were better in the 90s. I just don't think there's enough talent to go around. And I think that's a part of the problem. One of baseball's lack of appeal is that they're just not as good as they used to be.